Today we'll be reporting on two stories. First, we will be looking at an early morning earthquake that hit Antigua, and then we will move on to discussing the passing of Delroy James, a farmer in Clarendon. Year 2020 has been a challenging year. The pandemic is still ongoing, and disasters continue to arise. Of course, our Caribbean region is located at a place where it is always being impacted by hurricanes during the Atlantic hurricane season. And also, we are placed at a primary location where two tectonic plates continue to slide across each other, and therefore we are constantly affected by earthquakes as well. Recently, there was a 5.3 magnitude earthquake which was felt in the vicinity of the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. Now, whilst there was no damage when that earthquake struck that vicinity in the Caribbean, it should be noted that earthquakes are extremely dangerous and one should take all the necessary precautions when an earthquake is felt. Magnitude 5.1 earthquake struck the island of Antigua and Barbuda, along with two other Caribbean countries during the early morning of Friday, October 9th, 2020. Reports on the seismic activity that happened on Friday morning came from the Seismic Research Center in Trinidad. There were no reports of damage nor injuries. The earthquake occurred 14 minutes after midnight and was felt 116 kilometers northwest of the capital of St. John's in Antigua and Barbuda. Earthquake was felt in the neighboring islands of St. Kitts and Nevis and the French island of Guadeloupe. According to the Seismic Research Center, the earthquake was located at latitude 17.98 degrees north and longitude 62.44 degrees west, and was at a depth of 10 kilometers. Earthquakes are extremely dangerous, and unlike hurricanes, there is usually no warning. With earthquakes, there can be tsunamis, landslides, surface faulting, and of course, it comes with a lot of ground shaking. Earthquakes affect the normal activities of people across the globe. Dangers posed by earthquakes should never be underestimated. Earthquakes can be very dangerous, especially if you are in the wrong place at the wrong time. Earthquakes can tumble buildings and also set off landslides, which can lead to the loss of life of many persons. Earthquakes that occur at the bottom of the sea can push water upwards and create massive waves, which may lead to tsunamis, which can take the life of many persons. These huge waves can reach speeds of up to 500 kilometers per hour and may cause massive devastation to anything in their path. It should be noted that if you are living along coastline areas, as many persons in the Caribbean region do, you are at risk of experiencing a tsunami following an earthquake. Therefore, if there has been an earthquake and you are living or in the vicinity of a coastline area or on a beachfront property, it is advised that after the quake has passed, given some minutes, you should leave that area to put yourself in a better position to be safe and to be away from the risks of possible tsunamis that may occur. Seismologists measure the strength of earthquakes using a scale of magnitude, and that is why you hear reports coming in about 5.1 magnitude or 7.1 magnitude or a 5.3 magnitude earthquakes. And of course, with earthquakes, there are usually aftershocks. So you should remain in place at a safe location, following all of the precautions for a given period of time to prepare for any aftershocks that may occur. Aftershocks of an earthquake are also measured on a scale of magnitude. The higher the number on the scale is, the more powerful the earthquake is. And the more powerful an earthquake is the more damage that it can cause, and the more dangerous it is. Earthquakes have caused the loss of lives of hundreds of thousands of persons across the globe. And it is sad, however, that many persons remain missing after an earthquake has passed. It is always a good idea to follow the building codes within a specific country, because these building codes were designed to ensure that buildings are safer and stronger, and that they are able to withstand an earthquake better. Whilst building codes were designed to improve the stability of infrastructure and to help infrastructure withstand earthquakes, it should be noted that there are no guarantees in life. So even a building that is in strict adherence to building codes may tumble and also cause the loss of lives of many persons. Therefore, it is best for you to evacuate buildings and stand on the outside where there is clearly nothing hanging over your head. It should be noted that preparing for earthquakes reduces fear, anxiety, and losses that accompany disasters. By ensuring that your building is flood-proofed and ensuring that you have secured all the items that may shake loose in an earthquake, you are reducing the impact of the disaster that is posed by an earthquake. So, take all of the necessary emergency precautions that have been stated by your emergency agency about earthquakes. Our next story for today is that of the passing of Mr. Delroy James. Mr. Delroy James is a 63-year-old farmer from Clarendon, and his family is grieving his passing. According to the police, he may have been washed away during heavy rains, but his family is alleging that there is something amiss surrounding his passing. Mr. James was found in the Thomas River in the parish of Clarendon on Wednesday afternoon. That is all of 1 day after he was last seen by persons in the parish. Residents in Clarendon were fishing in the Thomas River near Mr. James's home when they saw him in the water. He was floating. Mr. James was a farmer and an upholsterer who lived in Pennance in Clarendon. According to his family, they are very concerned about the state in which he was found. The police has theorized that Mr. Delroy James may have been washed away during heavy rains, and it is possible that he may have encountered rocks on that journey. Family is, however, grieving his passing, and they are refuting these claims and theories that have been presented by the police. They are also asserting that Mr. James might have suffered a similar fate to that of his brother Whitefield Burrell, who was found in the Thomas River in October 2018. The sister of Mr. James, Markeisha Poyser, has stated that Mr. James was an active member of the community who was always advocating for better roads in Pennant, Clarendon. According to Miss Poyser, he would give away his last. He always tries to help everyone. Herschel Brown, who is the councillor for the Chapelton Division, has stated that Mr. James was a member of the Pennant Farmers Club, and he was an active member of this club. He also said that Mr. James is usually the person who is attending meetings at the Pennant Farmers Group, and he's always trying to seek assistance for his fellow farming colleagues. Mr. James is not known to make any trouble. His passing is devastating and disturbing. Mr. Delroy James is the fifth of 10 siblings and was also described as a family-oriented man. I cannot begin to imagine the pain, the grief, and the loss that the family of Mr. James is currently dealing with. It should be noted that the loss of a family member or a friend can be devastating on those who are left behind, because they have to deal with all of the situation surrounding the passing of that beloved family member. Of course, they are speculating. The police is also speculating, and they are also at this time in total denial. It is very hard for them to accept that Mr. James was seen just one day before, and later he was seen floating in the Thomas River. It is sad that Mr. Delroy James had to pass away, and whilst they're assuming that something may have gone amiss, they don't have any evidence at this time. According to what the police has stated, Mr. James may have been washed away during the heavy rains that happened across the parish recently. We would like to extend our condolences to the family of Mr. Delroy James, and we wish them the best as they continue to grieve the passing of their loved one, Mr. Delroy James. Of course, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think about the disasters that continue to occur not just in the Caribbean region, but the disasters that are occurring across the world. Remember to be safe. Flooding, earthquakes, and hurricanes can take our lives.